On average, you make roughly 35,000 decisions per day, like deciding what t-shirt to wear, what breakfast to eat, and what YouTube video to watch. Thanks, by the way. In many ways, this constant deluge of decisions is a byproduct of our ever-advancing modern society. Look around and you'll see more choices than ever before. It wasn't long ago that if you wanted a coffee, your only option was coffee. Now, walk into almost any cafe and you'll be asked, do you want almond milk, oat milk, goat milk, venti, grande, Ariana Grande? Grocery stores are lined with choices. In any given supermarket, you might have 6 different types of peanut butter, 9 varieties of apples, and 12 brands of yogurt. Ride-sharing apps help you find the ride you want, whether it's budget cars or helicopters. And fast food restaurants encourage you to have it your way. You can instantly compare items on Amazon, rank the top 20 taco shops on Google, and swipe through hundreds of eligible dates right from the toilet. While on the surface, this kind of choice feels like a good thing, there's a heavy burden to our constant need to make decisions. And the cumulative cost of making tens of thousands of them every single day might be completely changing your life in a very bad way. All right, so I know that this might all sound a little bit dramatic. After all, most of the decisions that we make on a daily basis aren't exactly life or death. We're trying to figure out what shoes to wear or whether or not that CAPTCHA image is a seal or a traffic sign. But when we constantly sweat the small stuff, it has implications on our happiness, the quality of our relationships, and if we aren't careful, it can even impact the outcome of really important decisions, like choosing where to invest our money or whether or not to take that job in a new city. In psychology, they call it decision fatigue. Basically, when you make a lot of decisions during your day, the quality of those decisions decreases over time. In the morning, you might be able to fly through decisions one after another. But later that night, when you get closer to 35,000 decisions, you begin to make mistakes that you might later regret. Psychologist Dr. Jean Twenge knows a thing or two about this topic. Her research into decision fatigue started while she was planning her wedding with her husband. Specifically, they were picking out the items for their wedding registry. Did they want ceramic or porcelain plates, rustic or elegant, the 2-slice toaster or the 4, what brand, what color, what size? Inspired and absolutely exhausted by this process, she decided to conduct an experiment. Dr. Twenge and her colleagues purchased a bunch of items from a local department store. Then they asked one group of students to make a series of shopping-related decisions. Would they prefer a computer mouse or a controller? Did they want a red t-shirt or a black one? How about a candle or a coffee mug? And then a second control group was asked to contemplate the same products, but this time without having to make any choices. Afterward, both groups took a classic self-control test, holding their hand under ice water for as long as they could. And the result? The decision makers scored significantly lower when it came to self-control. This finding, along with many other follow-up studies to back it, have come to the conclusion that self-control is kind of like a battery. Every decision that we make, even the little ones, drains the battery's charge a little bit, which means that we have less energy available to make other decisions later on. And those decisions that we make might not always be good ones. Studies have found that nurses make more expensive and ineffective decisions the longer they go without a break. And judges have been shown to be less likely to grant parole later in the day, even with similar cases. Corporations know all about decision fatigue, and they use it to encourage us to make impulsive decisions. That's why when you go to the supermarket, you see treats like candy bars near the checkout. They know that you've already made a bunch of decisions while you were doing your grocery shopping, and you won't have the self-control to withstand that shiny wrapper. And when IKEA forces you to walk through the showroom for 3 hours until you get to the warehouse section, and by that point you can't tell the difference between the Jedermann or the Jorkschnass, so you just throw both of them in your cart and hope for the best. And when we're really worn out from making too many decisions, sometimes we refuse to make any at all. We neglect, ignore, or postpone important decisions because it all feels too difficult. We don't know what to say back to that person in a text message, so we ghost them for a month. We don't know what task to tackle next on our to-do list, so we do none of them. We stand still in the IKEA warehouse, drooling from our mouth, looking at all of the options, which only makes us want those meatballs even more. And if that all sounds a lot like procrastination, that's because it is. Decision avoidance can keep us stuck in a state of analysis paralysis and stop us from taking action on the important things. The good news is that there are some simple strategies you can use to reduce decision fatigue and make better choices where it counts. Okay, so let's talk about some simple strategies that you can use to reduce decision fatigue and make better choices every day. The first and most straightforward way is to simply reduce the amount of decisions that you make. Okay, let's be honest. There is so much crap that we take on every day that we simply don't need to. So take stock of your commitments and determine what's actually essential and what you could let go of. Cut down on your to-do list from 20 items to 10. Take a rain check on your next social engagement. Or if you're really feeling the pressure from the amount of decisions that you need to make, employ what I call the universal no. So whenever I'm really busy, if I'm working towards a project deadline, let's say I'm making a course for my company's slow growth, I will say no to all interviews, all networking calls, and all side projects. It doesn't matter if The Rock shows up at my door and he's like, hey, Matt, I've got a role for you in my next movie. I will tell him, I will look The Rock right in his eyes and say, no. That's a lie. I would definitely say, yeah. I mean, what are you going to do in that situation? You're not going to say no to The Rock. Yeah, so obviously there's exceptions. There's always exceptions. But for 99.9% of all decisions that you need to make, I would typically say no. In the end, it makes the act of turning people down so much easier because you can say, sorry, right now I'm turning down all commitments, unless you're The Rock, as I work towards the launch of my next project. This really tends to take the sting out of the word no, and people don't get as butthurt when you turn them down. Next, you can automate as many decisions as possible. There's a reason that some of the world's most successful people wear the same thing every day, from Steve Jobs to Barack Obama to these brilliant people know that automating daily decisions like what to wear each day can free up some of that precious cognitive energy for the things that actually matter. This is where putting simple routines in place can really be helpful, whether it's having a meal plan on rotation or working out at the same time every day. Not only will this help to conserve that brain power, but it can also help you make healthier decisions every day without trying, thanks to habits. And finally, make your most important decisions first thing during the day when your brain hasn't had the chance to get fatigued by all the other minor decisions yet. Whether you start your work at 7 a.m. or 3 p.m., if you spend your first hour of your day browsing through Instagram or combing through your emails, you're wasting your best energy on repetitive tasks that you can handle later on when you're feeling that afternoon slump. Instead, choose the 2 to 3 most important things that you need to get done today, the things that require the most amount of mental energy, and do those things first. That's why I typically leave my mornings open to write or to plan my big picture ideas for my business, because that's when I know the most important decisions are being made. The last bit of advice that I want to give you is that you should cut yourself some slack. It's okay that you've taken on too much in a world that's designed to wear down your ability to make good decisions. Rather than punishing yourself or attempting to bury your urges, listen with curiosity to what thoughts and feelings are behind those impulses. By paying attention to the triggers that lead to not so great decisions, you can learn to identify the things that drain your energy and compromise your judgment. Like when for a minute I said that I would turn down The Rock's movie role, because honestly, The Rock, Dwayne, Mr. Johnson, if you're watching this video and you want me to make a cameo in your next movie, I mean, I know obviously like it's probably hard to get a self-development YouTuber to be in a big Netflix movie, but I could probably move some things around. It's really not a big deal. You've got my number because I keep calling you and you just have blocked me. Thanks for watching, Dwayne and everybody else. I'll see you next time.